Aviation Week with our resident expert, Dino Hall, air traffic controller. This is so valuable as it relates to our young people for opportunities that often they're not even broached with. They're not even exposed to these. And so we want you to give us your calls today. 219-885-1371 is our calling number. 219-885-1371. Again, our call-in number is 219-885-1371. You're listening to Veterans Truth on WLTH 1370 AM. Your broadcast host, retired Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Antonio Daggett. Now, just a trailblazer as it deals with making ways for our young African Americans to enter the field of aviation. This gentleman has set aside huge sums of funding for scholarships for young African Americans to look into this field of aviation and aerospace and things along those lines. So it is just always a privilege and a pleasure to have him on with us. He's also taken the step of committing himself to supporting Veterans Truth, this broadcast. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be on the air, and we're so thankful for his support for this broadcast. So, Mr. Hall, good morning to you. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you for having me on your show.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Let's kind of refamiliarize yourself with our listening audience. Tell us again a little about what you've done, what you're doing, and what you hope to accomplish with our young people.
Yeah, what I've done, I am originally from Chicago. I was, like you, was in the military, also United States Air Force as an air traffic controller, and I'm a pilot also, a small airplane pilot. I got a degree from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, and right now I'm an operations manager at the En route center in rural Illinois, the one that someone tried to burn down.
I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that. In fact, that made national news.
Yes, it did.
No
yes.
question about it, because one of the crucial elements, and you mentioned it as an air traffic controller. I mean, you've really had to have some nerves of steel in dealing with issues in regards to that. How open is that field for our young African Americans, air traffic controlling?
The field is open, but it just takes a great deal of dedication and hard work in order to succeed in it. You have to be dedicated to doing a lot of studying, have to be dedicated to just being able to listen and learn a great deal. Math and sciences that works in the field also. So it depends on the person and your determination. It's just like any other career field, like law or being medicine. It requires a great deal of dedication on your part.
Excellent. And I think it's important what you're doing, because I think we need to encourage our young people. It's just as important to have a flying license as you do a driver's license.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's about education, and how the better educated we are, the more prepared we are for the future.
Absolutely.
So I take it on as a responsibility on my part, because I didn't get to where I am without help. So I reached back in order to provide these scholarships, in order to let them know that there are opportunities out there for students who may not have thought about aviation and or aerospace.
Okay. Tell us a little about your scholarship.
Yes.
This is just outstanding. In fact, this is so ironic, because the youngest of our 10, Isaiah, is very interested in aerodynamics, aerospace dynamics. In fact, he is really, he's got a drone helicopter that he flies over at Gene Shepard, there to kind of get control. And so I think, if it's not too late, we may have him try to apply for this program.
Okay.
It says ages 12 to 14, so he's just at about the limit here. But, we may look into this for the summer.
And we started out with that age because we wanted to introduce kids to those kind of career fields early.
That's important.
As opposed to with high school students who may have already thought what they want to do in their life already.
Yeah.
So we had started out with, we also stressed the importance of education, how important it is not only to the student but to the parent also. Get involved at that student's educational upbringing.
Well, that's important. That's important. Like I said, I'm going to encourage my son to make application. I don't want him to have any favors, any special breaks. I want you to hold his feet to the fire every step of the way, because I've told him, life. You got to be ready for life.
Oh yeah, you have
and,
to.
And you have to work hard and get your credentials to do well. So that's particularly important. Grandparents, parents, You know, a young person between the ages of 12 and 14, come on out to this informational session and let's find out how we can help our young people. You know, we need to make sure they have as many possible options and skills as they can at this particular junction. Our world is not only locally competitive, it is becoming globally competitive. And our young people must be able to compete now on a global level. And in order to do that, we need these opportunities to be made available to them on a fairly consistent basis. What now, Mr. Station? You know, we got to make sure our children are on that train.
That's why I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do, because our students, our kids need much more assistance than most, because they don't know what the opportunities are, and it's people like myself and the attorney you just were talking about to introduce them to those kind of career fields. And it's always easier to see that you can do it if you see someone who looks like you who have already done it.
That is so critical. You know,
yes.
You know,
if you can't see it, then you can't be it.
Absolutely. It's involved. And we have to teach that to our young people, that anything worth having
is going to take a sacrifice.
Is worth working for, right?
That is correct.
Because obviously, if you didn't have to work for it, then everybody would have it.
Exactly.
Right? So obviously, the fact that you have to make that sacrifice means that it's actually worth having.
Of course it is, because again, when we all want $100,000 a year jobs, but who has a $100,000 job?
Okay.
It's going to take you. You have to plan that out, and you got to go through there to find out, how do I get that $100,000 a year job?
Exactly.
It's not going to knock on your door. Here's the job. You know, you're going to have to get that education. You're going to have to get that experience in order to get to that point where you can be at that $100,000 a year job.
Exactly. Well, now you indicated that you're open to young people coming out and you giving them tours. You know, when your time and schedule allows for that. We want to talk a little bit more about that right after we take this caller. Caller, are you there? People will look to draw from our young people here and give them the opportunities and advantages, and not only here in Gary, but in Chicago.
Correct.
We need corporations, Boeing, Aerodynamics, General Dynamics. These are many corporations that are looking for young people to enhance their diverse working population.
That is correct. They need diversity, because the country and the world is being diverse even as we speak.
Absolutely.
Diversity is growing, and diversity not only in race, but also in experience. So that brings a great deal to the table that we can bring and let them know from our perspective, how can we contribute to the society.
Exactly. Out of their city. And yet we expect them to think big. If we want them to think big, we must broaden the horizons of our young people.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I think it's important that we need to expand horizons and the thought levels of our youth. That's why I'm offering these opportunities to students, to let them know that there are other things that are out there and other opportunities that are out there that they may not have even thought about.
That's important.
I think it's important. And they also think it's important also if they let them know that they need to see someone who looks like them.
Absolutely.
In order for them to realize that it's possible that I could do something else.
Absolutely. That's essential. That's essential. And we can't downplay that at all. If you feel that someone looks like you has been able to accomplish things, it encourages you to believe that you can do it as well.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, let me have you walk.
Yes, what I'm trying to do is introduce students to careers in aviation. That's my thing. Okay. Because I think it's so important to, that students learn about more than what they just see in their immediate environment. And as you saw when you went out to the facility, I pointed out to you the demographics of air traffic controllers.
Interesting. It was very interesting.
So, that's okay.
Yeah, you couldn't miss it. You could not miss it. The lack of diversity.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was horrendous.
Yes. So what I tried to do, and what I've always tried to do, is I'm fortunate because not only because of my parents, but because of the way my career has gone, I'm making all right money. So I take it upon myself to not only just talk about it, but also put my money where my mouth is.
There you go.
So I have sponsored students throughout the years to go to aviation camps, and also try to
offer scholarships to go down to the U.S. Space and Rocket Center in order to get an understanding and introduction to what it takes to become an astronaut. And I think that's so important for our young males,
Yes.
our African American males. I think that's so important to be able to be introduced to what it takes to become an astronaut. Now, how many black males are out there be astronauts?
There you
Not
go.
very few.
Yeah.
But I've offered that to students to take it to pay for the scholarship itself, which is $1,000. Then offer it to also pay for the transportation down there, the air flight go down there. So that's what I try to do. But the interesting thing is, a lot of our parents are afraid to let go of their children in order for them to let their children experience that. Now,
Okay.
parents will let their kids go to basketball camps, but when it comes to something, they aren't easy with,
Okay.
something in aviation or aerospace. Parents don't, they're kind of leery about that.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that has to do with just not being familiar.
I understand that.
But and this notion, often we're sending our kids to basketball camp because we think the return on investment
Exactly.
is going to be, we all think we got a Michael Jordan in the household, right?
Exactly.
At least that's what the kids is telling us. And so funds aside to enhance the opportunities of our young people.
Well, actually, again, is about reaching back and helping those who want the help. I'm just a regular brother from Chicago, Illinois, and I just thought that we don't see many African Americans in the aerospace and the aviation career fields. So I'm doing my part in order to introduce those kind of career fields to students. What I'm doing is providing scholarships to the U.S. Space and Rocket Center down in Huntsville, Alabama,
Okay.
to allow students the opportunity to introduce them to astronaut training.
Excellent.
I think that's a very exciting and audacious career that some of our students may want to look into. But it's not so necessarily becoming an air traffic controller or a pilot or an astronaut. It's more to the effect of, hey, this is an introduction to something you may not have thought about.
Exactly.
And that's what this is all about. I'm not trying to steer them to any career field, but I'm just trying to get them to expand their horizon, let them know that there are things out there that they may not have even thought about, or careers out there they may not even thought about.
Excellent. Let me go ahead and put our call-in number out there for our listening audience. Our call-in number is 219 with our young people, or we can roll our sleeves up
That's right.
and get in there
And get involved.
and try to make a difference.
I
All
totally
right.
agree.
Absolutely. So you want to give us a few words to kind of wrap up this morning?
I encourage parents to come out and just try to get the information at Washington Academy that we're going to have on the 28th, just to let them know there are opportunities for the students to get engaged with careers that could be very beneficial to their children in the future. Aviation is a major driver in this country when it comes to industry, when it comes to business. So there are total many careers within the aviation industry and the aerospace industry. We have aviation lawyers, aviation doctors, aviation managers, airport managers, airline managers. So, the career is vast and very diverse. So any students who have been, who thought about that, I encourage them to follow their dreams, because this is what this is all about. You have a dream to be an airline pilot, get out there and do the work that it requires to do that airline pilot. Do the studying, learn what, be a leader, or be a leader in that career field.
All right, very good. Well, again, we appreciate Mr. Hall taking time and coming and spending it with us here on Veterans Truth this morning. We think it's absolutely essential and critical. But I want to point out the fact that here was a veteran who could have pretty much just kind of sat on the side and kind of watched things go by. No, he decided to find a way he could continue to serve. And veterans, that's what we need to do. We need to find a way we can continue to serve in whatever capacity. And I think that's important. In the second half of our broadcast, we're going to be bringing on another veteran who decided to serve in law enforcement for his career.
Yes, they are. You know, what I'm trying to do is introduce students to careers in aviation. That's my thing.
Okay.
You know, because I think it's so important to, you know, that students learn about more than what they just see in their immediate environment. And as you saw when you went out to the facility, I pointed out to you the demographics of air traffic controllers.
Interesting. It was very interesting.
So,
I
and
mean,
that's okay.
You couldn't miss it. You could not miss it. The lack of diversity.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was horrendous.
Yes. So what I tried to do, and what I've always tried to do, is I'm fortunate because not only because of my parents, but because of the way my career has gone, I make, you know, I'm making all right money. So I take it upon myself to not only just talk about it, but also put my money where my mouth is.
There you go.
So I have sponsored students throughout the years to go to aviation camps, and also try to offer scholarships to go down to the U.S. Space and Rocket Center in order to get an understanding and introduction into what it takes to become an astronaut. And I think that's so important for our young males,
Yes.
our African American males. I think that's so important to be able to be introduced to what it takes to become an astronaut. Now, how many black males are out there be astronauts?
There you
Not
go.
very few.
Yeah.
But I've offered that to students to take it to pay for the scholarship itself, which is you know, $1,000. Then offer it to also pay for the transportation down there, the air flight go down there. So that's what I try to do. You know, but the interesting thing is, a lot of our parents are afraid to let go of their children in order for them to let their children experience that. Now,
Okay.
parents will let their kids go to basketball camps, but when it comes to something, you know, they aren't easy with, you know,
Okay.
something in aviation or aerospace. You know, parents don't, you know, they're kind of leery about that.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that has to do with just not being familiar.
And I understand that.
You know,
But-
and this notion, you know, often we're sending our kids to basketball camp because we think the return on investment
Exactly.
is going to be, you know, we all think we got a Michael Jordan in the household, right?
Exactly.
At least that's what the kids is telling us, and so, but I think what we're doing is exactly what we need to do. You know, familiarizing our parents with the station. You know, we got to make sure our children are on that train.
That's
you know,
why I'm
yeah.
trying to do what I'm trying to do, because our students, our kids need much more assistance than most, because they don't know what the opportunities are, and it's people like myself and the attorney you just were talking about to introduce them
Exactly.
to those kind of career fields.
Exactly.
And it's always easier to see that you can do it if you see someone who looks like you who have already done it.
That is so critical. You know,
Yes.
that you know.
If you can't see it,
yeah.
then you can't be
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. You know,
Mac Miller with Dang. Soulful music one time. Thank you so much, Jasmine Alexis, for coming through. Chicago Rising Star. She was in the building. And also, if you want your music played, you know what to do. Stay tuned for that information. And also, I'm still accepting calls for the 16-773-995-2828. But I have Baba Dino in the building. Have it now. How is it important to have your own business and work yourself?
I think it's very important. You know, it shows a lot of dedication, hard work, and it inspires others to let them know that if someone else can do it, you can do it also.
That's right. Now some people probably will get discouraged because they don't have it all like the big corporations out here. They got to start from the ground.
Well, we all do.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, God's truth. You know, if you have that dream, then you should pursue that dream. You know, even without progress, there can't be any progress without sacrifice. So you have to do what you have to do in order to do what you want to do.
Exactly. You always say, get out your comfort zone.
Right, exactly. You have to be able to get out of your comfort zone in order
Right.
for you to move forward in your life. Again, I'm an air traffic controller. Very few African Americans are air traffic controllers, so that's about getting out of your comfort zone, doing some things that you wouldn't normally do, and experiencing things that you wouldn't normally see.